Imagine this. Red and blue lights flash behind you. You pull over. Your heart rate jumps. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because you don't know what's about to happen next. The officer walks up to your window and asks a simple question. Do you have any weapons in the vehicle? At that moment, most people panic. They don't panic because they're guilty. They panic because they're unsure. And that uncertainty, not the firearm, not the traffic stop, is what gets people into legal trouble every single day. Today, we're going to talk about how attorneys think about this question, what rights exist during police encounters, and why saying too much, even with good intentions, can create serious legal complications. This video is general legal education, not advice for your specific situation. Laws vary by state, and every encounter is different. Always consult a qualified attorney in your jurisdiction. With that said, let's break this down calmly, clearly, and responsibly. When people hear the phrase police encounter, they imagine dramatic situations. But most legal problems don't start with drama. They start with ordinary traffic stops, a broken taillight, speeding 5 miles over the limit, rolling a stop sign. You're not under arrest. You're not accused of a crime. And yet, the words spoken during those few minutes can have long-term consequences. Many legally armed citizens believe that being cooperative means explaining everything. From a legal standpoint, that belief is often where problems begin. Let's walk through a realistic example. Not to scare you, but to explain the mechanics. You're driving home. You're legally allowed to possess a firearm. You're pulled over for a minor traffic violation. The officer asks, do you have any weapons in the vehicle? Now your brain starts racing. If I say yes, will this escalate? If I say no, am I saying something wrong? If I explain, will it help? This moment is where many well-intentioned people overshare. They begin explaining where the firearm is, whether it's loaded, why they're carrying, where they were earlier, what permits they believe they have. None of that information was requested, and every extra detail increases the chance of misunderstanding, contradiction, or legal exposure. Criminal defense attorneys often say this: you can talk your way out of trouble, but you can talk your way into it. This isn't anti-police. It's about how the legal system works. Police reports are written later from memory. Words can be paraphrased. Statements can be interpreted differently than intended. Even honest mistakes, like forgetting the exact status of a permit or misunderstanding a technical definition, can create issues. Silence, when used respectfully and lawfully, reduces risk. Let's clarify something clearly and responsibly. Some states legally require individuals who are carrying a firearm to inform law enforcement during a stop. In those states, you must follow that law. You should comply exactly as required. Nothing in this video overrides that obligation. In many states, there is no legal requirement to volunteer that information during a routine stop. This difference matters, because what is lawful in one state may be unlawful in another. That's why knowing your local law is essential. This video is not about teaching people to evade police. It's about understanding constitutional rights and communication boundaries. One concept frequently discussed in legal education is this: you generally have the right not to answer investigatory questions during a police encounter while still complying with lawful orders. That includes providing driver's license, registration, proof of insurance. Those are requirements, not questions. Questions are different. In legal discussions, attorneys often reference a short, respectful sentence that courts have recognized as a lawful way to decline questioning. That phrase is, "I don't answer questions." Let's be very clear about this. This is not legal advice. This is not appropriate in every situation. This does not override duty to inform laws. Tone and behavior matter just as much as words. What matters is how and why the phrase is used. The Fifth Amendment protects against self-incrimination. That protection does not disappear. During traffic stops, because you are legally carrying. First, because the officer is polite. Because you have nothing to hide. Declining to answer questions is not an admission of guilt. Courts have repeatedly affirmed that silence alone cannot be used as evidence of wrongdoing. Let's clear up misconceptions. This is not about lying. This is not about arguing. This is not about hostility. This is not about refusing lawful commands. You can be calm. Be respectful. Follow instructions. Keep your hands visible. And still choose not to answer questions. Most people talk because they're nervous. They want to. Appear cooperative, avoid tension, reassure the officer. That instinct is human, but legally speaking, reassurance through explanation often backfires. Silence, when done correctly, communicates. Clarity, boundaries, awareness of rights. An officer might say, "I'm just trying to make sure we're safe." That's understandable. A calm response might be, "I understand, officer." And then silence. You don't need to debate. You don't need to justify. You don't need to explain your philosophy or intentions. Words alone aren't enough. Hands visible, slow movements, clear communication before reaching for anything. Neutral tone. This shows respect and reduces tension. Rights are strongest when paired with calm behavior. If an officer asks to search your vehicle, courts generally require consent, probable cause, or warrant. Declining consent can be done calmly. I do not consent to searches. This preserves legal rights without escalation. Never physically resist, never argue roadside law. Those battles happen in court, not on the shoulder of the road, because statements can be misunderstood, can be misremembered, can be selectively quoted. Silence avoids those risks. It doesn't guarantee you one to be arrested, but it protects your legal position if something goes wrong. If your state requires disclosure, comply with the law, provide only what is required, then stop talking. Additional explanations are rarely helpful. This video is about education, not instruction. Understanding your rights doesn't make you anti-police, doesn't make you suspicious, doesn't make you uncooperative. It makes you prepared. Prepared people make fewer mistakes, especially under stress. If this video helped you understand police encounters more clearly, consider subscribing for more general legal education content. The next video will explain what happens after a stop ends and why post-stop behavior matters just as much. Stay calm, stay informed, and always consult a qualified attorney for advice about your specific situation.